There's a problem with this book. And it's not just the fact that it's so awesome that I've read it and reread it until the cover fell off. It's more that it's not a thrilling adventure in which I am the hero. I think I'm in the mood for some fighting fantasy. Fighting fantasy. The earliest solo RPGs. Which one should I play, though? You know what? Why not a classic? Fighting fantasy number 1. The Warlock of Firetop Mountain. Yeah, right there. A game in which you become the hero. This is the one for us. Let's see here. We need a pencil. We need an eraser. Can do. We need paper. We need dice. Dice. Tanya! Where are the dice?
Sorry, I'm using them. And your elf dies.
That's what I get for marrying a gamer. Fortunately, there is a solution.
Because we can play the Warlock of Firetop Mountain, the Roguelike. That's right, there is a roguelike version of the Warlock of Firetop Mountain, thanks to this gentleman right here, Karem, who made it for the 7-Day Roguelike Challenge of 2006. Now, for those who don't know what the 7-Day Roguelike Challenge is, it is a competition, annual, that has participants create a new roguelike in the span of just 7 days. Now, I want to call your attention, that said, to this, the fact that this is release candidate 5. This is not the original 7-Day Roguelike version. It has been expanded perhaps, but certainly bug fixes have been added in since the end of the 7-Day Roguelike Challenge. That said, the bulk of it was done in 7 days. An incredibly impressive feat for that alone, and beyond that, just an awesome game. I first encountered this game in release candidate 4. I played through it, died the first 7 or 8 or 9 times I played. On the final time, I beat it, but in the process, I uncovered a rather serious error towards the end of the game. But I took the time to contact Karem and let him know about that bug. And despite the fact that this was 2 years ago, this was 10 years after he released the game, he actually went back into the code and fixed that error. So we got release candidate 5, which is essentially just the same as release candidate 4, but with that one major bug fix. In the process, he may have also introduced another bug, I'm not sure. I'll mention it when we come across it, if we come across it. I have a very, very soft spot in my heart for this game. The reason is, I mean, cards on the table, aside from Dungeon on the Commodore PET, and admittedly the very earliest versions of Caverns of Zascasium back in 1995, 1996, I had basically disavowed ASCII games. I had made a general declaration that they were of no real value in today's society, that graphics superseded them and made them obsolete. And the only reason I gave the Warlock of Firetop Mountain the time of day at all was because it was a rendition of a game book that I had grown up with, and I wanted to see how well he had adapted it. In the process, I found out not only is it an excellent, excellent adaptation of that game book, but a really, really fun game. So I want to thank Karem right here and now, because this was my gateway into ASCII roguelikes. Without it, I would not have tried any others. So it really opened a great doorway for me that I have continued to walk through for the last 2 years and explored a lot of new games that I wouldn't have encountered if not for you, Karem. So thank you so much. Having said all that, let's dive into the Warlock of Firetop Mountain, the Roguelike. Deep in the caverns beneath Firetop Mountain lies an untold wealth of treasure, guarded by a powerful warlock, or so the rumor goes. Several adventurers like yourself have set off for Firetop Mountain in search of the warlock's hoard. None have ever returned. Do you dare follow them? You take the role of an adventurer on a quest to find the treasure of a powerful warlock, hidden deep within Firetop Mountain. People from a nearby village advise that the treasure is stored in a chest with 2 locks, and that the keys are guarded by various creatures within the dungeons. You approach the shadow of the great mountain. The local villagers have warned you that the entrance is well guarded. And proof of that, we have this gorgeous ASCII artwork right here. This very cool ASCII dragon. Yes, there is a dragon in the game. There's a spoiler. And we're about to head in. One thing I do want to point out, it mentions here a chest with 2 locks. I actually found my original comments to Karem online where I was reporting that bug. And I mentioned something about 3 locks. There might be 3 locks on the chest in this game. Just so you know. Let's go in the game. Here you'll see we have a choice of class. We can play an adventurer, we can play a warlock. Now, if this is your first time playing, and I will include a link to the game below, you will only have the adventurer option available to you. The warlock unlocks as a playable character if you've killed the warlock in a previous game. You don't have to win the game, to the best of my knowledge, to get the warlock unlocked. You just have to kill the warlock in the game. But we're not going to play him for right now. We're going to play the adventurer because that's the meat of the game. And you do not have any say in any skills, any sort of stats or anything. You just enter your name. Let's call him Dalin. Dalin. Why not? There's a name. Enter. Welcome, Dalin the Adventurer. Press space to begin. And here we are in the Overland map. The game does use several different map generators. The Overland is obviously just one of them. You will have to revisit the Overland at a later point. The objective in the game is to get down to the bottom level of the dungeon, open the warlock's chest, get his treasure, get back up to this level, and walk off the western edge of the map. Do that and you win. Fail to do that and you lose. Let's find out how to play by pressing the question mark key. Commands. Move, arrow keys, or the numpad. Continuous move, press period and a direction. That's basically your run command from many other roguelikes. Unlike, say, Rogue, or Classic Rogue, which I played recently, where if you try and run in a given direction, it will correctly follow the course of a twisting corridor. It won't do that here. Run is a sprint in a direct line until you encounter an obstacle. It won't follow the bend of a passage. It'll stop when it hits a wall. Wait is press numpad 5. Fire a ranged weapon, very important. Press F. Flee, capital F. D, drop an item. L to look around. Close a door or perhaps a chest, I guess. Certainly close a door. C. Unlock or use is U. Up or down in staircases is the usual greater than or less than key. Z is use magic. We won't get a chance to do that until much later in the game, if at all. If you're the warlock character, presumably you can do that from right off the bat. I, view inventory. E, view equipment. Message history, control P. There is a full screen mode. I've tested OBS with it, and it won't allow me to show you my mouse when I have the full screen mode on. To be honest, my mouse is also misaligned, even in this version. I have to watch my OBS screen to point the mouse correctly. So if you see me having trouble pointing at something, that's why. But we're good in our little window right here. Let's press, actually, A for about the game. Here we get a bunch of stuff. Very important, though, here are the hints. The main thing I want to point out is some things I didn't know before. I only learned in my test run of the game a few seconds ago. When you flee in combat, it costs you a luck point. And what else do I want to point out? Archers are more accurate over short distances. I assume that means you and enemy archers as well. So you want to close the distance a bit if you want to hit more accurately. X to exit. Now, what are your stats in this game? You can see we're character level 0. That's a little unusual. Usually you're character level 1 to start. Most games. You have 3 stats though: stamina, skill, and luck. If you're familiar with fighting fantasy, you'll know those are the 3 base stats from any fighting fantasy book. In the base books, the way it determines it is it rolls 2 dice and adds 12 for your stamina. If that's how it does it here, then it only rolled a 4 for us. But I've done a few tests to get OBS set up, and my stamina is usually kind of low, so I don't think it generates it in the same way. It might roll 1 die and add 12, because your stamina goes up as you play the game, so it might take that into account, so it starts you kind of lower. But we have stamina 16. That's your hit points, your health. Your skill is your ability in combat. We have skill 9. In the base game, Fighting Fantasy rather, it rolls 1 die and adds 6. Not sure what it does here. I've seen it start with skill 10. I've seen it start with skill 9. I don't know if I've ever seen it start with anything else. Luck, we started with 8. It rolls 1 die and adds 6 in the Fighting Fantasy books. Not sure how it does it here. You can get higher than 8, I know that. Not sure quite how much higher. I'm not sure if luck raises with level either. It might. Okay, when you go up a level, you for sure get more stamina. You might get more luck. Now, we know we are on dungeon level outside, as I already mentioned. You can see that right here. And let's press I to see what we're carrying. I. We have 4 provisions. In this game, there is no hunger clock, unlike some games. Your provisions are solely units to be eaten to heal you. To eat one, you'd press use and the letter E to eat it. When you're in the inventory screen, no time is passing. If you wanted, you could be in the middle of combat and eat all 4 provisions. Each one of them gives you back a set amount of stamina. I don't remember what. But there aren't as many opportunities to heal in this game as there are in some. You can't just pass your turn. You can't just walk around. Your health will not come back. There are only 3 opportunities or 3 specific cases that let you bring back your health. Barring perhaps magic. I don't know. I've never used the Warlock's magic abilities. You can eat provisions, but you have a finite supply of those, as you can see. I think you can find more. We'll find out. At set intervals in the game, when you first descend into the mountain, when you descend past dungeon level 3, and when you descend past dungeon level 6, the game gives you an opportunity to rest. If it gives you that opportunity, I advise you avail yourself of it, because you cannot return later and say, okay, now I want to rest. It's a now or never situation. When it says you want to rest, just say yes. You'll get back some stamina. I think you get back all your luck. Not sure. The only other opportunity is fountains. Occasionally you will find magic fountains in the game. If you do find one, if you drink at it, you'll get all your health back, all your stamina back. But those are the only opportunities you have to heal for the entire duration of the game. So you want to be a little bit cautious about your health. So we have those. What is our equipment? If you press E, we see that. We are carrying a club, which has attack 2. Not a very good weapon. Your attack rating of your weapon is added to your skill in combat. So we essentially have skill 9. Now, if this was a magic club, it would be a club plus 1, attack 2. It would actually be reflected in our skill. Our skill would be 9 plus 1, or 10. And then we'd have essentially combat skill 12 in combat. Your crude leather armor, defense plus, or defensive 1. That dictates, well, how easily enemies hit you. I'm not sure if it will report it as your armor stopped an attack, or if it will report it as a miss. I think it actually stops 1 point of damage sometimes if your armor stops it. Or entirely. I think it'll report your armor blocked the attack. In our case, if the enemy did 1 point of damage, our armor would block the attack. If it did 2 points of damage, it would just say you took 1 point of damage. I think is how that works. We have a short bow. Very mediocre weapon. It has an attack rating of 4. And we have 10 normal arrows. They're equipped. Now your starting equipment is randomized. I did a test a moment ago, and my equipment was better. I think my stats were generally better too. So this is going to suck. But what are you going to do? It's part of the game is you get the random shit you get. My last 2 games that I played to completion, I did win. But those were 2 years ago. I doubt I'll win now. We'll give it a shot. Hopefully we will, because I want to show you as much of the game as possible. Let's start moving. We wasted 11 minutes explaining the opening of the game. Let's get in. Here we see our first enemy. Now remember, you can press L to enter a look command. And it says, use direction keys to look, X to cancel. We can move this little cursor around. We put it here. This is stone. Put it in here. Dungeon floor. Here is grass. Here is tree. Dungeon's floor. That's interesting. This is like a ruined tower or something outside the main fortress. But we want to put it directly on the orc. The O for orc. And at the bottom you see it says you see an orc. Actually it says you see a orc. It does not care about you. It looks healthy. But you can press M for more. It does not care about you means it hasn't seen us yet. It'll ignore us for now. But we actually want to kill it. M for more. Orc. A basic orc whose only job is to stop people like you getting in the mountain. It looks healthy. It has not seen you. Experience is average. It means we get an average amount of experience for killing it. It is carrying some equipment. An unidentified short sword and unidentified leather armor. Both of which it's using. So it is, decently equipped. But if we kill it, we might be able to get those things, and maybe they're magic or something. That would help out better than the crappy stuff we started with. I'm going to actually attack him hand to hand. My general rule is you want to hit things with missile weapons. The only reason I'm suggesting we fight it hand to hand to start is because I know for a fact when we go in the mountain off of this exterior level, we'll get a chance to rest. So escape to get out of that. Unless they're doing a lot of damage, we'll be able to get our health back anyway, so why not save our arrows? We hit him, we block the orc's attack. Oops, I passed my turn like an idiot. The orc's armor deflected the blow, we block the orc's attack. We hit it, we block the orc's attack. We hit it, it dies. And there is unidentified leather armor. Now, if you look as well at question mark A about game, it does say here somewhere. Let's find it. Items will be highlighted blue if it is better than your current one. So we know for a fact that that armor it dropped is better than ours. Let's pick it up. Unidentified leather. Let's grab it. It's leather armor defense 2. Let's put that on because our crude leather armor is only defense 1. Then we want to go to our inventory where you can see we now have leather armor in addition to our provisions. You want to press use to use or equip and press C for leather armor. There, it swapped it out. We now have a defense of 2, which is better than our defense of 1. There's also this, which we'll get for now. It's a short sword, attack 2. Matter of fact, I'll use it, only because I prefer using swords to clubs. Not for any gameplay purposes, just for my imaginary purposes. In gameplay, it has no difference as far as I can tell. There is a bridge down here, and a sleeping orc. Let's do L and look at it. You see an orc, it is asleep. It looks healthy. Same job, except for it's asleep. Interesting, it says experience medium. The last one said experience average. I don't know if that's like a mistake in the code that he meant the same thing, or if there's a difference between average and medium. We killed it. Unidentified leather. The fact that it's brown, I think it says it's the same as what we have. I also want to point out, if you've been watching any Moria videos, just how much a difference the simple addition of color makes. What a beautiful ASCII graphic, or ASCII map. And I love the fact that when you move, it's turn-based in that regard, but there is an animation to the water. What is this guy? He's blue. I don't know if I usually encounter a blue guy here. He scares me a bit. I guess I do. An orc sentry. It is hostile. It looks healthy. This orc refuses to let you in. He has a key on his belt. Very important. We need that key to get in the mountain. It looks healthy. It is hostile. Experience medium. I'm going to attack him hand-to-hand again. Again, as a rule, you want to use your missile weapons to keep your health. But because I don't want to waste arrows, and I know for a fact... I'm going to back off, too, in case his stuff falls in the water. I don't know if I can, but just in case. Because I know for a fact we're going to get a chance to heal. Might as well kill him manually. A key labeled 11. Let's pick that up. A smelly cheese. That is an object that has a use I'll tell you about later. And an unidentified club, but it's blue, and it is in fact a +1 club. So let's equip that. Use C. So we have an attack. Our skill is essentially 10 plus our attack rating of 2 is 12 instead of 11. We're a little bit better off. Now there are some things I should mention about the game, and that's that it doesn't take the time necessarily to clarify the use of all items in the game. The smelly cheese, as far as I know, you can't eat it. It's not a provision. It has a specific application, and there's a point when rats can attack you, and I think if you throw the smelly cheese, the rats will go for it or something like that. It's not a very useful item. It doesn't tell you that anywhere. I actually had to talk to Krem and be like, what the hell are these things for? And he told me. That is something the game could use more of, is clarification. Something else I didn't point out to you right here. If we had looked at these stairs, the golden stairs, it would have said that they have a number 11 on them. We need the key that we picked up to get inside. All right, descending into the mountain. Peering into the gloom. You see dark, slimy walls with pools of water on the stone floor. The air is cold and dark. You light your lantern and step warily into the blackness. Far off you hear the scurrying of tiny feet, rats most likely. You can choose to rest before you continue. So there's our option to rest that I mentioned before. We might as well use it because we can't come back and use it later. R, rest. There we go. Now, it won't necessarily give you all your stamina back. If you've lost a lot of stamina, you could find yourself having some problems. Here we are in dungeon level 1. And as per many roguelikes, maybe most roguelikes, maybe all roguelikes, or all ASCII roguelikes. Not all, I guess. These are walls. This is floor. These are chests. This is, I think, a trap. Let's find out by pressing L. L. Let's look around. Dungeon floor. Stone, yeah, walls. An empty chest. Nothing in it. An empty chest. a teleport. So if you step on that, it's essentially like a trap. It'll teleport you, I think, randomly somewhere. Not entirely sure. Let's not use it right now. Let's get out of look mode and start walking around. You can see we have a small field of vision. Actually slightly circular as well. Kind of nice. Very adds a bit of ambience to the darkness of this dungeon here. Our lamplight. Plus sign is a door. You don't have to open them using O. You can close them, I think. Press C. Direction. There, we closed it. Does O work? O doesn't work. To open a door, you just walk into it. Obviously, they block line of sight. The entirety of this map that we're on will fit within the confines of the screen here. Each level is fairly small. You can play the game in, I'd say, about 3 hours. Now, something I haven't pointed out yet, and I really should, because it's very, very important, and that is that another thing the Warlock of Firetop Mountain lacks is a save game function. You cannot save the game. I've been putting off playing this game, even though I really wanted to. I really wanted to record it. I put it off for a while because I need about 3 hours to sit down and play the game straight. We're not going to do 3 hours in one play session. I'll do a half-hour recording or so, stop the recording, and then come back and keep recording. But yeah, unless you have a chance to leave your computer running, you don't really want to start this game up. It is about 3 to 4 hours to play the game. And yeah, you can't save. So when I go for lunch, just hope the cats don't sit on the keyboard, because the game will be running in the background. Now, what have we encountered here? Look. Look. An orc hunter. It does not care about you, so it hasn't seen us yet. It looks healthy. More. The orc has some quarrelsome friends that it wants you to meet. How nice. It looks healthy. It has not seen you. Its experience is average. What is it carrying? Unidentified arrows. Excellent. An unidentified longbow. I guarantee you that's going to be better than our shortbow. An unidentified longsword. It might be better than our +1 club. Unidentified leather armor. Also might be better than what we're carrying. So it's well equipped. We want to kill it and get its stuff. We are right beside it, so I'm not going to shoot it. But as a general rule, I'd want to, you'd want to attack from a distance. I hit the orc hunter. I block the orc hunter's attack. Its armor deflects our blow. We parry. I like the fact that it's very descriptive in that regard too. It doesn't just say you hit, you miss. It tells you what's going on. It hit us, darn it. It's dead. Excellent. Here's all the stuff it dropped. So the only thing that's actually better than what we got, I mean, we can pick this up, but you can see it's attack 3. I can tell already because it's not in blue. But this is better than what we've got. A longbow, attack 5. We're currently using a shortbow, attack 4. So let's go into our inventory and let's use the longbow. Use J. Okay. We don't need to pick up this other stuff. I don't believe there's anything in the game that can hurt your... I'm getting these unidentified arrows. I don't believe there's anything in the game that can hurt your equipment. But just in case. Now to pick something up off the ground, you need to press the letter G while standing on it. G for get. Now here's something I should mention to Krem as well. Although again, he's not necessarily fixing it anymore. It's been a while. Nowhere in here does it tell you to press G to get stuff. He forgot to mention that in his help file here. It might be in the text file that accompanies the game. I'm not sure. We'll grab this too, even though we don't need it. Now in this game, okay, unlike Rogue, for instance, you don't have to switch to your missile weapon to use it. You are always equipped with one melee weapon, if you have it, and one missile weapon simultaneously. To fire, all we have to do is press the F key. Now let's look at our equipment again. We're using the longbow. We're using the 10 standard arrows. We do have 10 or 15 plus 2 arrows that are much better, but for now I'm going to stick with these 10 normal arrows because ammo is finite. And I might as well use the lesser equipment on lower level monsters. And the deeper you go, the tougher the monsters get. So let's press F for fire. You can see it automatically selects a target, I think the closest target. Let's press F again to fire it. Boom, we hit it. The arrow hits the orc servant. You gain a level. Nice. We went up a level. I think our stamina did climb. Yep, it went from 16 to 17. So that's good. And that's about all there is there. Let's get our... You can also see sometimes, it seems like 50-50 or so, after you fire an arrow or a quarrel, you can get it back. Walk up to it, press G. We picked up the arrow. It's back in our stack. Uh-oh. What's this guy? Oops. Yeah. What is this guy? A snake. It is hostile. It looks healthy. Blah, blah, blah. The only important thing about it that I can see is its resistances. It has resistance to poison. Level 10. I don't know if that's level 10 or if that's 10%. But it has some sort of resistance to poison. So if you're using a poison weapon, that could be an issue. We're not. Let's fire our arrows at it. Oh, let's get out of look mode first. F. The arrow hits the snake. And it's dead. Both our arrows are gone, though. What's this guy? Oops, I keep pressing the wrong button. You see an orc crossbower. It is hostile. It looks healthy. More. This orc has some quarrelsome friends that it wants you to meet. How nice. It's carrying some bolts, a crossbow, a short sword, leather armor. The crossbow might be nice. Actually, the crossbow will definitely be nice because at least it'll give us an alternative to the bow if our arrows run out. Now, we could stand here exchanging arrows with it. But I think it's... I don't know for sure. I'm going to try and close the distance. Rather than risk it using its crossbows to kill me. It's dead. Okay. Get its crossbow bolt. A +1 crossbow bolt. Here's 12 of those. And get the short swords. +1 short sword. No better than our +1 club. And an unidentified crossbow, which is a +1 crossbow giving us attack 6 if we choose to use it. I'm not going to use it yet, again, for the same reasons I mentioned before. Ammunition is finite. The monsters we're facing here are not going to be that tough. And let's use our crappy arrows until we run out. You can't use the crappy arrows with a crossbow. Crossbows use crossbow bolts. Arrows are used for bows. We see here a down staircase that would take us to dungeon level 2. We're not ready to go there yet. Let's keep exploring the level. What is that? An unidentified rotting corpse. There's no more option here. That is literally just a dead body on the floor. Later on in the game. Here, look at myself and press M for more. Interesting. Later on in the game, you can... oops, get out of look mode. You can meet corpses that will get up and fight you as ghouls. So be aware, they're not always as sedate as that one is. Monsters will not repopulate levels. You clear a level, it's cleared for the game. There's a finite number of monsters in the game. Let's kill this orc. Let's look and see what he is. Oh gosh darn it, I keep pressing the wrong key. I press enter. M for more. An orcish servant looking to take out his long suffering on you. It looks healthy, it is hostile, experience low, has an unidentified long sword. Not a very tough monster. Let's kill it with our standard arrows. Let's get out of look mode. F. Arrow hits. And it's dead. Ooh, and it dropped us. Oh, fuck. There's another monster that might be problematic. Is it nowhere here yet? It appears sleepy. It appears asleep. Let's assume it is asleep, and let's go get that sword first. Oh, now it saw us. Let's start firing at it then. Arrow hits. Arrow deflected it. I miss. I hit. And now we're into melee combat. It's dead. Let's pick up this sword. An unidentified longsword. It is +2, so let's use that. Use. +2 longsword. F. That'll give us essentially attack 15 instead of attack... Well, that's, yeah, attack 15 instead of attack... whatever we had before. I think 13. Right? Let's go to E. Yep. It's +5 instead of +3. Let's pick up some stuff. An arrow. Because we currently have arrows equipped, when we step on the arrows, it automatically picks them back up. If we didn't have it equipped, we'd have to press G to pick them up. Unidentified hand axe, I can pick it up. It's attack +3, we don't need it. Now, in my introduction video, when I was goofing around with my wife and mentioned, you know, let's play Warlock of Firetop Mountain, the book, you need paper, you need a pencil, you need dice. Well, you don't need dice for this. But I do advise, if you're playing the roguelike version, I would suggest you keep a paper and pencil on hand. Why? Because you are going to come across things that will matter later in the game. One of them might be this magic fountain. Let's look at it. L. This is a fountain. Okay, that's all it tells us. I mentioned earlier, one of the ways to heal is to use magic fountains. We don't need to use it right now. It'll heal you all the way back up to your full stamina. But I am going to write down on a piece of paper here, fountains, underline, level 1. So I remember there is a fountain waiting for us on level 1. We can always come back and get it later if we need it. Likewise, you may find keys, and you may have your inventory so filled up that you need to drop stuff, and you may drop a key, and you need that key later on. So write down where you dropped the key. You may find a chest you can't open yet. Write down where you saw the chest. That way you can find it later in the game. All right. Well, here's a key. Let's get this key first, and I'll tell you about the red staircase. A key labeled 59. Let's take that. Incidentally, a key labeled 59 would unlock a chest labeled 59, if that hasn't been made abundantly clear. I guess it hasn't. We haven't encountered any openable chests yet. The final Warlock's chest will need 2 or possibly 3 keys, I'm not sure, with 3 different numbers. You're going to need a lot of keys in your inventory. Now, we saw a staircase earlier. We saw a staircase right over here, down. What is this staircase down? Well, it's red instead of gray. What does that mean? The red staircases go to special locations, special maps. Not pre-made maps, they're still randomly generated, but they are special areas. They're also dead ends. If we take the gray staircase, we'll go down to dungeon level 2. If we take a bunch of gray staircases, we'll eventually end up in dungeon level 10 where we need to go. In contrast, this first red staircase we've come across will bring us to the barracks. The barracks are filled with some very, very nasty, powerful orcs. Also some serious treasure. So you probably want to explore it at some point. For all you know, the key you need to win the game is in the barracks. You might have to go there. But you don't have to go there yet. As you can see right over here, our staircase up is still readily available. We can go up whenever we want. So when we go down to dungeon level 2, we can come back all the way from dungeon level 10 to dungeon level 1 and use the barracks if we want to. My usual process in the winning games I did have is to go to dungeon level 3, finish exploring dungeon level 3, then come back up and use the barracks. Usually is the best route. That way you're at least a higher level and might have better equipment. I'm going to show you the run command as well. I mentioned before there is a run command in this. You press period in a direction. But as you can see, it just shoots you in a straight line until you hit something. It's not as useful as a run command in, say, Rogue or another game of that ilk. It's a nice touch, but it won't follow a corridor or anything. All right, I think we're done the level just in time. Because it's been about a half hour we've actually been playing the game. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go down to the next dungeon level. I'm going to stop recording. I'm going to grab some lunch. I'm going to tuck my keyboard in. I'm going to keep my cats away from my computer. Then when I'm done lunch, I'm going to come back and we'll keep playing the game. For you, it's just the next video. Enjoy. Let's go down to the next dungeon level first, though. Shift and the greater than key. There we go. Oh, frack, we're surrounded. Screw it. Let's eat lunch, and we'll come back and deal with this when we get back. Talk to you soon. Bye.